Hello, hello. This is Kyle Rheiner here from craftbrewinginsurance.com and Arthur Hall Insurance. Today's topic is effectively communicating your rules for kids and dogs in breweries. I feel like kids and dogs kind of go together, so um, I threw the dogs in there too. A lot of the same rules are going to apply. Tell you a little bit about myself here. Again, Arthur Hall Insurance in Westchester, Pennsylvania, just outside of Philadelphia. Listen, this presentation is not the end all be all. It's for educational purposes. It's not full, it's general, it's not specific to your specific brewery, but for the industry as a whole, I think this is definitely something we can all utilize and take pieces of. My goal is to always equip you. But every business has different risks, right? Depending on your location. Craftbrewinginsurance.com, Arthur Hall Insurance. We are not liable for things that you might do that cause issues. So just throwing that out there. We can't do everything for everybody. So here's me. This is my first magazine cover, and I say first because I'll show you a new one. But 2016, I became a niche master. So after I was in the insurance business 3-4 years at that point, and had the opportunity to get interviewed. Over 200 people were interviewed. They liked my interview. They liked the photo. They liked where I was working with, as far as startups and millennials and working with breweries. And so got a lot of accolades. Pretty cool. My mom's proud. That's the important part here. But Insurance Business Magazine's Young Guns of 2018, Up and Comer, Niche Master. As you can see, like I focus on one thing, right? I craft beverage insurance, and that's what I want to do well. I think if I can focus on one thing, just like craft beer professionals, like if we focus on one thing, we can create a lot of value. I recently became the partner at Arthur Hall Insurance in Westchester, Pennsylvania, and Wilmington. We have 2 locations. I work with over 170 breweries and distilleries and restaurants in the United States. Recently this year, I don't know, age 39 is like a big thing apparently. I'm 1 month from being 40. I got 40 under 40. I just became the agent of the year, and again, partner. So I'm a certified insurance counselor. That's kind of like an accountant taking all the extra courses, right? A couple of years of exams and classes to become a CPA. That's what we do on the insurance side. Really dive into case law, case studies, really dive into coverage language and things like that. I've had a number of articles published. I was just recently with Cape or Not, Beer and Brewing Magazine, don't break in case of emergency, kind of planning for that next disaster, prevention. Been in magazines for, writing the top 10 insurance claims for craft breweries and distilleries. Our dogs welcome, right? And then there's the cover deal. So here is, opportunity to be on another magazine cover as the agent of the year for Pennsylvania. The women there are Delaware and Maryland. So just another little feather in the cap, but, all validation that, we're providing value. We're doing our best day in and day out. As you see on the right-hand side there, bottom right, I also host the Beer Mighty Things podcast. A lot of fun. Had Andrew on, had a number of the folks probably watching this on as well. Just a lot of fun. Nice little change of pace from the normal daily grind. Partnership. Andrew and the team have been phenomenal. It's been years now. We've been on each other's podcast multiple times. We've spoken at a number of events. And again, our goal is to provide value for you all. And I'm really grateful for that opportunity to do so. Hi, Andrew. I mentioned it before. My goal is to educate and equip. I want to provide you actionable plans that you can use immediately at your brewery. Again, it's not the end all be all. You may have better ideas. Please send them, share them, right? This is a community. We're all here for the greater good. As we are embarking on Halloween, we're talking about kids and breweries. I figured we'd throw some kids and dogs and Halloween stuff in here, right? Timely. But we want kids in our breweries for the most part. And we want dogs in our breweries for the most part. How do we create plans? How do we effectively communicate those without upsetting people and turning them away? That's today's goal. Halloween candy. I was just looking at their bins like, what kind of Halloween candy we hoping for this year, The why. Why do we need to effectively communicate this? Well, we want to protect your business, your brand, your patrons, and your staff, and the puppies and all that stuff, right? We want to protect the business. We built a business, and we want to grow it, and we want to do the best we can. Uh, you've seen some of my other presentations. I always come back to the two great philosophers. That when it came down to creating insurance in the first place, these two really stepped up out of Atlanta, Georgia, and they said, you could plan a pretty picnic, but you can't predict the weather, Miss Jackson, and that's Big Boy and Andre 3000 of Outcast. So again, you can plan a pretty picnic. You can't predict the weather, right? We can have all the kids, all the dogs come. You don't know what's going to happen, right? So we need to have some guidelines, some training, some awareness, some conversations around it. This kids and dogs thing, it's a love hate, right? Some love it, some hate it. Some breweries hate it, but the patrons want it. Some patrons hate it, but the breweries want it, right? So it's kind of that push and pull. It's probably not going to go away. And I love bringing my kids to a brewery. Uh, I like when dogs are at breweries, right? But obviously, safety of all people is important. Safety of your brewery. It's a business. We want to continue the business. We don't want to be shut down by lawsuits and yada yada. But it's a love-hate relationship. Don't put the kids in the sink. It's funny when you Google kids in breweries, this picture popped up, and I was like, well, yeah. I mean, sometimes these probably aren't even the owner's kids, right? These are kids that wandered through the kitchen when their parents weren't paying attention, and now they're washing their feet. So, why do we need guidelines? This was a funny little couple tweets here. I get it. We need guidelines because toddlers are assholes, especially mine. Now do dogs. That's icing on the cake, right? 9 replies, 264 likes. So, it's a thing, right? It's a thing we need to address. It's a thing that comes up constantly. So let's do it right. Here's one of the companies in Philadelphia, right? Human Robot Brewery in Kensington said no kids after 2 p.m. 21 and over after 2 every day, no exceptions, right? They have a small tasting room. And when people are bringing in car seats and strollers, that's a seat that could be a paying patron. And there's just not a lot of room. It's not a safe place, this location. Now they have another location it's got way more room and kids are allowed. So, it depends on the situation. Also depends on the clientele. So again, why do we have guidelines, right? Kids can cause a disruption. Dogs can cause a disruption. It can be noisy. It can affect their overall atmosphere and the enjoyment of being there. You'll even see like people will come to breweries because dogs are allowed, or people won't go to breweries because dogs are allowed. Right? It's that yin and the yang. It's there's no right or wrong, but again, we just need to prepare. Safety hazards. Breweries typically have equipment in areas that may not be child friendly. That can pose safety risks, like those kids in the sink. Now, also, dogs have incredibly sensitive ears. Do they really want to be in a manufacturing facility with all the different noises, all the different people having a good time, the laughter? That stuff can really, trigger a dog. I know most dogs are obviously great, but one little thing after that dog being agitated all day, one little surprise noise, something can cause an issue, can cause them to react. Inappropriate behavior, right? This is again why we have guidelines. Parents might not always be supervising their children. There's been many situations where, hey, there's kids out in the parking lot walking around. Where are the parents? Hey, we don't have outdoor seating. They shouldn't even be out there in the first place. There's not tables out there. They're walking through a parking lot. That's not safe. People don't necessarily pay attention or expect a kid or a dog in a parking lot when they're driving through. So again, we got to supervise, and we got to be careful here. Let me sip my water. Alcohol exposure. Actually, there is a commercial on the radio right now in Philadelphia, at least, that's going, talk to your kids about alcohol, because the cans that we have now, ecto cooler cans, whatever, there's cartoons on them. The kids think they're funny. The kids think they're cool and cartoonish. They might try to have a sip of it, right? So obviously, if the beer's in a glass, they're most likely not going to do that. But a child may not know the difference between, their juice box and a cartoonish can, right? Parents really want to go. Like, I want to go to a brewery, have a beer, and relax, unwind, and sometimes not talk to anybody. When it's chaotic and when your children are running all around, well, now that person, that parent can't relax. All right. So they can't fully enjoy it. It might become stressful for them. It might be stressful for the people around them. It's a distraction. Um, age restricted areas are something that, we've talked about implementing. You can have an area for adults 21 and over, you can have an area for kids, right? You can have areas that are off limits to children. Um, Again, this when it's not clearly marked can lead to confusion and disappointment for families. Again, I mentioned, taking up seats that could be used for paying customers. Like those are real seats. Those are real dollars. And when you put your stroller there, when you put your um, car seat there, I mean, that's real money. In a time right now where everything's more expensive, the breweries, all their cost of materials, their insurance, the rent, everything's up. They need that. If it's 3 beers plus a tip, $20, $25 per seat that has a car seat in it. I mean, in a day that could be $1,000. Negative interactions occur, right? Childless patrons may feel uncomfortable or annoyed by the presence of dogs and children running around. Again, they want to go there and, chillax. And if it's chaotic, they're going to go maybe somewhere else that may be more relaxing. Also, think about if you have the outdoor space versus just the indoor, right? Can we spread out? Can that person who doesn't have a child go sit in a corner far away? Like, is there that opportunity? Again, every tasting room, every brewery is different. Legal compliance. Breweries must adhere to local laws and regulations regarding the presence of minors and pets, right? Is a food manufacturing facility. So technically, you probably shouldn't have dogs there, at least in the tasting room or in the manufacturing area. And, I always say, and I think it'll come up a little later, but blame it on the insurance agent. Hey, insurance says they can't be here. Hey, the health inspector says no dogs, no pets, no kids running around, at least in this area. Again, capacity restraints. If it's crowded, you may not have a lot of space. It could be tough with those strollers or large groups. Staff can't walk through. You can't walk to the bathroom without tripping over a truck or a kid or a dog. Hygiene. Those kids in the sink were killing it. I mean, they're washing their feet. They know what's up with the hygiene. But children can be messy. Their presence may create hygiene issues. To turn that table over after those patrons leave with a messy area could take longer when the staff has to clean that up. Throughout this, I'm googling kids and breweries lawsuit, dogs and breweries lawsuit. So here is one. Hey, we had a 6-year-old girl running around about a month ago playing on the bike rack. She got hurt. She broke her toe, and now the parents are threatening to sue us. And then obviously the brewery's going, well, where were the parents? Why is the kid on the bike rack? Right? It's both sides. The parents were nowhere in sight. They spelled site wrong. And I had no employees outside to see the kid to tell them to stop. Again, they might not have even had like an outdoor space, but the kids are outdoors running around. So, as parents, I'm a parent, right? We got to keep our kids busy. Busy keeps kids in their seats, and bored kids will run amok. Just be wary. Like this literally is not the brewery's fault, but the brewery's going to get served papers. I deal with this a lot. Not even that, just tripped over the sidewalk, nothing on the camera, but you get a letter in the mail. You will see also, I'm going to go back to that. You'll see sometimes this family or this person at the grocery store or this person at the breweries, the same person will somehow all the time have the same situation arise where they trip and they fall and then they send a letter to the brewery, the grocery store, whatever it is. But you get a lot of repeat offenders, and hopefully judges and whatnot can tease that out. Dog. There was a recent dog bite incident that occurred in the tap room last week, and the victim of the dog bite was rushed to the emergency room where she received 50 stitches. This happened down in the Carolinas, and it was a pretty big deal. It's in like Forbes and a lot of magazines. This is obviously a lawyer statement when we're talking about endure pain and suffering, emotional distress, scarring, need for medical and surgical procedures, lost time from work. That adds up. Incurred medical, surgical, and related expenses that she has otherwise been seriously injured and damaged. It turned out that the owner of the dog apparently was pretty intoxicated. And wasn't paying attention at all. But I don't know, how it all transpired. But woman got bit by a dog. Obviously, this is, tens of thousands of dollars, if not more, that that brewery is going to receive that document in the mail going, now we need to, alert our insurance company. We have lawyer fees. Our accountant's not going to love this money going out the door. So, again, we need to protect ourselves because these are real situations. Now, obviously, the amount of people that come to the brewery and the amount of paperwork you're getting served, the discrepancy there is very minimal, right? So you might have 10,000 people come to the brewery this week and no letters. Over the year, you might get 100,000 people come to the brewery and you get one letter. So, obviously not everyone's doing it. People want to be there, right? It's a community. Liability and money, right? This is, again, why do we have guidelines? We have guidelines for the kids, safety of the kids, the safety of the dogs, the safety of the family, other patrons and staff, right? We have our employees trip over something, get injured. Now it's a workers' compensation claim. Now they are out of work. We know how hard it is to find employees right now. When you're short staffed, that puts a burden on a lot of people. We want to protect our business, okay? When it comes to insurance, we can have this big insurance claim. Like that dog bite, the kid situation, probably not a big deal. The dog bite, that might cause the insurance company to cancel your insurance at renewal, non-renew your policy. What that does is makes it harder to obtain insurance. Hey, they had this large claim and it's still not closed out. Maybe there's a $200,000 reserve on it, which means that's what the insurance company thinks that they might pay out in the future. If that's not closed, it's going to be very difficult to find insurance because no insurance company is going to want to kind of hop in on that. It's going to make it harder to get insurance, and that new insurance policy is going to cost more. So you kind of start to weigh, like, is it worth it? It's a lot. Again, attorney's fees, those add up. How do we provide guidelines? Okay, so we talked about the why and the what. Talk about the how. Okay, we want to do this visually, we want to do it verbally, and we can also do it non-verbally. I'm going to walk through some of those ways to do so. We also want to do it positively because you don't want to piss people off. Take a lesson from my buddy here, Ted Lasso, who I just might be for Halloween again. I got the mustache going. I think another week or two I can I might have it. I got the outfit. I was Ted last year. All right. When we provide our guidelines, let me sip my coffee. We want to use simple language, keep it simple. We don't want to confuse people. We want to be consistent. We can use graphics, which, for the first time in like a presentation, I'm using lots of graphics, you'll see. But graphics, visuals, they're memorable, right? We want to keep them simple. Make it clear, make it prominent. Indoors, outdoors, right? At the entrance. What some of the breweries I've been seeing are they're greeting you at the door, saying, hey, here's our rules. Maybe they're handing you a card with the rules on them. Yeah, I don't like that, honestly, because that's like, hey, don't be shitty, and now it's a bad first impression. Pardon my French. But greet them at the door, help them to their seats. If they have any questions, have them ask. Point them out to the area in which maybe you have designated for children, the area that's designated for 21 plus, the area where kids can run around, or here's where the board games are, or the toys and that sort of thing. You're going to be up by the bar if you're ordering beer. Put the signage there, right next to the draft list. They might see it. They should see it. Again, outdoors, we can't stop people from doing these things, right? We can't stop a kid from getting hurt. But what we can do in our defense, if we have to go to court, the judge is going to go, hey, did you have signs posted? Yeah. Where'd you have them? At the entrance. We greeted them at the door. We walked them to their seat. We told them everything. Okay. Near the bar. When they went up to get a beer, they should have seen it. When they were outside, it was posted on the walls, on the fences. As you walked back into the building, or outdoors, as you're walking outdoors, it was posted, right? So these are your lines of defense. I know, again, we can't stop anything from happening, but you can make an effort. And these are your backstops here. On the menus, right now, we're seeing a lot of QR codes, right? We could pull up the menu, have them there. Here's our guidelines. If they're making online reservations, have a FYI. Here are some of the rules we have. Maybe maybe they are deterred by that and they don't want to bring their dog or kid there because you know what? Hey, it's going to be too busy. It might be too crazy. I can't relax. We're going to go somewhere else. Keep it simple. I was say keep it simple, stupid, but now that's kind of like not allowed, I guess. Keep it super simple. But yeah, keep it simple. Display it prominently. Okay. Entrance near the door, walking in and out of doors, on the menu, on the draft list, online reservations. We have websites, I assume. You have social media, I assume. Post them on there. On like Instagram now, you can pin something, right? Again, it's a touchy subject because you don't want to make people mad. You can be friendly with it. You can have fun with it. You can create videos that are funny, right? Regularly update those. You can have an FAQ page on your website. I've seen lots of these. Like, here's our dog rules. Again, with people tiptoe around the kids, but here's our dog rules. Include the kids' rules, right? Create a dedicated web page FAQ section on your website that can address questions. Can I bring my kid here? Yeah, we love kids, but here's where we're going to put them. Here's how we handle children. Use that social media. Again, people are going to go where they see pictures of themselves, like their demographic. They're going to go there, right? If you're posting pictures that are, people that are 21 and they're partying, well, you're probably not going to bring your family there. If you show pictures of people with their kids and their dogs at the brewery, that's the people who are probably going to show up, right? People go where they see themselves, right? Where they feel as if they fit in. Bored kids are energetic kids. Bored dogs are energetic dogs. Tired dogs are good dogs. Busy kids are good kids. All right. 21 plus area, kids area. You can have time restricted hours. Hey, no kids after 8 p.m., no kids after 6 p.m. Or here's our kid time, 12 to 4. You have that opportunity to see what works best for your brewery, and you get to make those guidelines. And you're not excluding people. You're saying, please come, but we want you in this time slot. It works best for the safety of our patrons and our staff. You can have somebody, hey, from 12 to 4 or 2 to 4, hey, we're going to have a craft. We're going to have somebody dress up as a princess. We're going to have superheroes. We're going to have people come in and do crafts with your kids. Keep them busy while you go have a beer. It's almost like a daycare in a way, like for that time period. We're going to occupy your kid. You can have a little date with your spouse and enjoy your time here. We want you to have a good time. You can use phrases online. Come hang out, come play as a family. Come hang out together. And also, bigger toys are easier to clean up versus like puzzles and Legos and little pieces. You ever step on a Lego at midnight while you're walking to the kitchen? It's not fun. Not fun at all. But use that language. Hey, come as a family. People are more likely to, if they see themselves as a family, if they're told to come and hang out as a family, they're probably going to do things together as a family versus come to the brewery and let your kid run around, right? So just again, we want them here, and we want them to feel welcome too. Don't step on Legos. We can empower our staff, right? Ensure these are things that we just want to talk about, right? Talk with your staff, see what they want. They're the ones on the front lines. They're the ones who can say, this was really annoying, or hey, this was really good. This family brought these types of activities, coloring, whatever it was, and it really worked out. Those kids were well behaved. These parents didn't bring anything, or they didn't play with this, or they didn't like what we had. Maybe we should switch it up. But make sure that your staff is knowledgeable about the rules and that they can communicate them. You want to role play with them. Pretend you're a family walking in and have your staff greet them and walk through the process and have them have a script. Hey, welcome to our brewery. Happy to have you. Here's what we do. Here's what we have for you. Here's what we have for the kids. Here's what's going to happen today. Those sorts of things. But role play it. I know role playing is corny, but it works. Empower the staff. Again, have fun with social media videos. You can do all sorts of things. You can dress up. You can make it funny. You can make it scary. You can make it Halloweenish, whatever you want, and just make it fun. When people laugh, typically, that's usually the first sign of acceptance, right? If people are laughing at your videos, they're gonna, feel warm and fuzzy about it. if you're making videos about here's how we have the kids here, here's what we have for the kids, whatever, like they're going to enjoy that. Often been said that youngest staff members are key, right? They're closer in age to these children. Um, and seems that they can be a little more playful, they're a little more in tune. Maybe they have nieces and nephews that are small and know what they're into, and just even having conversations with the kids. You know, hey, how's school? Hey, do you like school? What's your favorite subject? Are you playing any sports? Just include them. Empower. Try to empower my girls, so they know Wonder Woman. You can have a feedback mechanism. You can have a spot on your website where people can write their comments. You can have a little comment box at the brewery, at the door. You can hand out little cards. Hey, how do we do today? What would you improve? What are your thoughts on our kids situation? What are your thoughts on our dog guidelines? Did we provide enough stuff for your kids? What would you change? And ask for that feedback. That's how we find out things, is by asking. You can drop it in the box anonymously. You can review it as a team every week, and you can make those adjustments. Again, positive language. Frame the rules positively by explaining how they contribute to a safer and enjoyable experience for all. Again, this is not a dig at somebody. This is not, hey, you. This is, hey, this is all of us working together to create something great. Stay positive. I love me some Ted Lasso. Again, local regulations might say no kids, no dogs. I don't think they'll say no kids, but they'll say no dogs in a manufacturing facility, no dogs in a food processing facility, no dogs in a production facility for, manufacturing of alcohol. Blame it on the health department. Blame it on the insurance carrier. Blame it on your insurance agent. I tell them all the time. I don't care. Tell them I said you can't. Right? Typically, you're not going to have an exclusion on your insurance policy for dogs. Okay. So you're allowed to have them. It's just what you want, again, at your brewery. But you can blame it on others. I don't know. Sorry. Health inspector came by, said no dogs. We had to change our guidelines. We're sorry. Come back without your dog. Consider flexibility in your policy for special events or circumstances. Keep safety a priority. But if you're going to have hey, somebody's renting out this room for the day. All right, well, maybe the rules are a little different because it's contained. There's not outside patrons, right? It's just your group. So you could be a little different there. But again, keep the kids busy. A busy kid is a good kid. A tired dog is a good dog. Walk your dogs. Play fetch before you go to the brewery. Wear them out so they sleep. Regularly review your policies, right? Again, talk as a staff. Talk and read those comment slips. Ask the customers. Again, we talk. You'll probably hear more from craft brewery advisory services on like what beer do they like? What would they like to see next? It's the same thing. Would you like a flight with that? Did you know we have 4-packs to go? It's kind of that same thing going, hey, what did you like about this? Hey, what would you change? Hey, what can we add to make your experience better? And obviously, like, a brewery is a community deal, right? We want everybody involved. We want the teachers, we want the police officers, we want everybody to feel happy, right? So if we can bring in nonprofits, we want to be able to build goodwill and support the brewery, the community. It becomes that Gemütlichkeit, right? It's everybody working together to achieve some sort of happiness as a community. Repeat, repetition. Again, instill this in your employees, instill this in your patrons. Okay. The more they know it, the less confusion there is. They'll know their friends like, hey, we should go there. Let's bring all the kids. And they're like, 2 to 4, we can go there. It doesn't fit within our schedule. We can go to this other place. They got a more outdoor space. It makes more sense, So your customers and your staff, they'll start to get it. Just keep it repeat, keep it up front, talk about it. Talked about verbal, talked about signage, visual. Let's talk about nonverbal. These are ways to not even say a word, and parents won't even come there with their children or their dogs. Hey, we got high top tables with no backs on the seats. Kid might fall off. Yeah, we're not going to go there. They only have stemmed glassware. Our kids are going to knock them over. Let's not take the risk. They're going to have a band. It's going to be loud. My kids are going to hate it. Probably not going to go there. Right. So these are certain ways that we don't have to say a word, but parents know, hey, on this day, probably going to stay away from there. We're going to go somewhere else low key. Damage control, right? Things happen. Dog gets bit. Kid falls on the bike rack. Dog gets bit. Dogs get bit too. Dogs and patrons get bit, unfortunately. If an incident occurs, I think this is like with anything in life, anything you do, act fast, be upfront, apologize, show empathy, document the incident. As an insurance agent, I don't have to be your insurance agent to provide you the stuff, and we'll give you this presentation as well. But we have incident reports. You can Google incident report, and it'll usually be like a picture of a body. And you can circle, hey, the arm was bit. Here's what happened. Here's the date. Here's the timeline. Here's the witnesses. Take notes. Anytime there's an insurance claim of any kind, you always want to document what happened, when, why, who was there, what you did to preserve it or keep it from spiraling out of control, right? We want to take notes. We want to create a timeline, like literally days, times. You note all those things. Get that witness statement, right? That witness statement backs up that incident report. Witness can be a staff member. Witness can be an outside patron. Let your insurance agent know what happened, right? Call us on the weekend, email it. You can always file. Actually, most insurance companies now, you can actually go online to their website and report an accident 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? Saturday, I might be coaching my daughter's basketball game. I'm probably not going to pick up the phone when you call. I'll call you afterward, but you can go online and document it. Even just an email to us, with that incident report, with that timeline, that's documented, right? That's letting us know. It's timestamped. So that's when an incident occurs, afterward, right? Again, communication is so important with, again, anything in life, any kind of situation you run into, but don't post online like right after it happens. If you're upset, you don't reply to an email when somebody sends you something mean. You don't lash out and fight back. Take 24 hours, sleep on it, think about it. Just don't go online and, hey, this is our policy now because these idiots came on and they did this with their dog and their kid. Post it online, you're going to get 1,000 comments and they're not going to be good. You're going to get bad reviews on Yelp and Google. Like, you're going to regret it. So bite your tongue, hold your tongue. Don't post while you're upset. Sleep on it. Talk through it as a team. Talk to your staff. Have that sit down moment. Talk to your attorney. Before you post something online that is in this kind of situation, your attorney might give you language to use where you won't incriminate yourself any further. So sometimes, you got to do those things. We'll tell you what to say and what not to say. Stick to your rules. Have your guidelines, have your rules, stick to them. Know who you are. And as mentioned, with the repetition, people are going to learn your expectations for them, and they're going to have expectations for you. Don't change your rules later. It confuses people. Also gets bad reviews, lots of comments. Hey, this is what it used to be. Now they're doing this. No, just here's what they are. Here's what they're going to be. Cool. Here are some examples of breweries in the United States. I wanted to share this with you. These can be posted, again, on the website, on the table tents, on the wall, on the fence, indoor or outdoor. Hey, we have and intend to continue to be a family-friendly brewery. We ask for your support in maintaining an enjoyable and safe experience for all guests and staff. Here's our rules. Guests under 21 must be accompanied by a parent or guardian. Sorry, I call this the shit sandwich, right? Good rules, good, right? Guests under 21 must be accompanied by a parent or guardian at all times. Children are prohibited from sitting at tables and couches alone. Children are prohibited from walking around the tap room, playing on the stage or stairs, sitting at the bar. Kids 12 and younger are discouraged from being in the tap room after 8 on Fridays and Saturdays because 1, we're busy. 2, they should probably be getting ready for bed. And 2 or 3, those are seats where people would pay. Please leave chalk, clay, confetti, glitter, paints, and Play-Doh at home. Messy stuff. For your convenience, we offer board games and coloring pages. However, the parent's responsibility to watch and entertain children throughout your visit. That's the parent's job. Thank you for your cooperation and understanding. Okay. So simple. I've heard good things. It works. Other folks have adopted this simple language. Again, I'll give this to you. You can have it. Minors must be seated at your table at all times. Very clear, very big, very prominent, very simple. Minors cannot walk around unattended or play outside. If you brought children, they are your responsibility and are to be with you at all times, or you will be asked to leave. Again, very simple, big letters, stated prominently. That one works. This was in response to an event. Okay, an incident happened. Hey, we appreciate your business and welcome you to our establishment. We know you want to have a safe and enjoyable experience. We are committed to providing that. As part of our commitment to safety, we ask that you always supervise your children. This is especially important for, but not limited to, children under 16. So even, you might have a 12-year-old climbing on, the shed out back, right? Effective immediately, we require all individuals 16 years and younger to be accompanied by an adult in our tap room and beer garden. Please be aware of some of the safety tips. No climbing off fencing tables or chairs. Keep away from dangerous areas like the parking lot. Refrain from bringing sports equipment like baseballs and frisbees, things that can fall and hit other patrons that are way far away from your table. Teach children about safety rules. Use this as an opportunity, right? Don't remove shoes. No running throughout the tap room or beer garden. No climbing. We remain dedicated to the safety of our customers. We are family friendly, but considering a 21 and up business model if we have to, right? We don't want to, but we gotta protect our business. Those lawyers' fees are adding up, and then insurance is getting pricey. Benefits of clear communication: clear expectations, clear mind, less worry for the business owner, for the staff. Hey, if we have this instilled, people know it, people respect it, we probably don't have to think about it as much. We're not waking up in the middle of the night thinking about it because, hey, people are following the rules because we posted them. Our staff is following the rules because we talked about them. Our staff is communicating the rules to the patrons because we showed them how. We role played. We have safer patrons. We have safer dogs, kids, and families. Your business is safer. Less insurance claims, less attorney's fees. You have a happy insurance agent, attorney, accountant, and landlord. The person owns that building. Right now, your lease is probably going to say, hey, we're not responsible for anything, but something went down. Everybody's getting named. On that letter you get. Happier community. People want to come there. People want to be safe. People don't want to go somewhere where it's dangerous, or not fun. Community. I always leave some wisdom, right? You like my quotes. You can plan a pretty picnic, but you can't predict the weather. Here's my girl, Maya Angelou. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that is why communication is so important. That is why positivity in these communications is super important as well, because they're going to remember how you made them feel. They're going to remember what you posted online and how that made them feel attacked, happy, that sort of thing. They're not going to remember what you said. They're not going to remember what you did. They remember how you made them feel. All right. And on all parts of your life, that's how it goes. Here's what we do. Quick shameless plug, but beer is made water, malt, hops, and yeast. You get a predictable, beautiful beer, right? When you pair knowledge of insurance policies, knowledge of the industry, lots of resources, experience, relationships with underwriters and access to the insurance companies, and a timeline in which you talk to your insurance agent, your insurance becomes predictable. You have a safer brewery. That's how we do it. The more you know. Hopefully that brings back some nostalgia for you. And you can take a screenshot of that. Obviously, Andrew will probably disseminate this as well. But CBP dogs. Subject line. I guess kids and dogs. Just say, hey, I want the freaking presentation. Email me. I'll send it. But you can always find me. Beer Mighty Things Podcast. Kyle at craftbrewinginsurance.com. That'll get you to the podcast. Andrew's back.
I'm back. That means you have some questions, Kyle. Really great information there. So we've got a few come through, and I'll start
Okay.
with this one because I know you have kids yourself. So
Mhm.
I know you love taking them to breweries. Can you give an example of something that's either happened, with you and your family or something you've observed when the kids might have been a little unruly and, how the staff engaged in a positive manner?
Sure. So I'm thinking about a specific time where, my wife's a teacher, right? And a lot of our friends are teachers, right? So they are used to kind of like occupying children, but it is chaotic. And we go, we had at our university, we had an alumni event where it was a princess and superhero brunch. And then after that, we went to a brewery, good sized brewery, good sized tap room. We ended up getting a table fit 8 people or so. Ended up being, probably 4 or 5 families. So you had 4 to 6 adults and, probably 4 to 8 kids. Now we brought crayons, we brought coloring books. You do all this stuff, but as the brewery got busy, we're standing, the kids are there. After like an hour, they do want to get up and move around. So now it's like, all right, we can't move. It's starting to get crowded. We had a beer. Maybe you want to get a quick second one. And then you kind of like feel rushed. You're like, all right, I got to go because one, you feel bad for the staff. Two, you feel bad for the kids because they're probably sleepy, cranky, hungry, especially if the brewery doesn't have food. A hungry kid is gonna freaking just wild out, right? They're hungry, they're thirsty, they're tired. My girls are 9 and 11 now, so they're still. This was a couple of years ago, but they're still. They need to be occupied now. They want like the iPhone, right? They're like, give me your phone, Dad. I want to watch YouTube. Like, no, you're not gonna watch YouTube. Like, color, draw, be creative, do something, build something, right? Um, what I've actually found, my girls really like Trogues Brewery in Pennsylvania. They have these wiki sticks that are like wax. Those, honestly, that'll keep them busy for hours because you can build something, take it apart, rebuild something. I think when you can have when kids are doing something with their hands and they're using their mind to be creative, they'll probably sit there for a long time. But again, I've had those situations where kids, they're spent. They were just at an event, and then you bring them to a brewery, and they get hungry, they want to move around. So yeah, I mean, that's one situation where that was my own personal going, all right, it's time to leave. It becomes not fun for the adults. It's rushed. You can't even talk to your friend because your kid's running around over here. It's like, all right, you got to kind of cut the cord. I don't know if that helps.
It does. No, we've got another, Kyle. The next one is, we've seen breweries post on social media that kids aren't allowed past certain hours, and sometimes they receive a little blowback when this
Yeah.
happens. How should they handle that? Any advice?
Again, I would say don't reply right away. Okay, bring it back to the staff. Don't have somebody that's just like boom, 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 and maybe not even might just be a social media person and maybe not the owner of the business. Don't reply right away. Bring it back, because there might actually be a couple other comments that come through. Bring it back to the staff and talk about it. Here's what we're going to say. Again, you want to lead with positivity. Hey, I understand your comments on this. I understand you want to come here earlier. I understand you want to bring your kid outside of these hours. I'm sorry for, as a company, as our township has said, as our insurance agent has said, we need to reserve these times just to make sure that we are avoiding incidents. When it comes to, say, insurance, right, there's a couple different ways, right? It's to manage risk is one, self-insure, which means, hey, you're taking the brunt of all of it. Two, transfer it to an insurance company with an insurance policy. Or three, avoid. So, if you're having that question of should we do this, you probably, avoid it. Is the juice worth the squeeze? Will you bring in enough revenue to justify the headache later? But again, when that comment comes in, wait, think about it, deep breath, do not respond with your emotion. And again, make sure that, if you have a social media person, make sure that they know what you want them to say. So they should pause for a minute before they respond. But yeah, take a deep breath.
Deep breath. Always good on social media.
Yeah.
We've got one final question, Kyle. You had mentioned that, say someone's bitten by a dog at a brewery, pull out that handy dandy sheet of paper where you can circle where they were bit on the body, have a witness statement. That all sounds great. But where do we find this? Is there like, a download we can get? Should our insurance agent have it? Where can we find this paperwork to properly record?
You can literally Google incident report template. You can ask your insurance agent, but you should be able to find that online. Just a simple Google, hit PDF or whatever, images, you'll probably find it. It is definitely something. Actually, a lot of times when you have, say, like a workers' compensation insurance policy, it'll be in that. I know no one's reading their 70-page workers' comp policy or their 400-page commercial package policy, but a lot of times those things are actually provided by the insurance company. But yes, and I would be absolutely happy to give that to anybody who needed it. It's literally a one-page sheet, pretty easy.
Awesome, Kyle. Well, it looks like those are the questions we have. Is there
Okay.
anything else you'd like to add?
No, I appreciate the opportunity to do this. I hope people find value in it. I hope we continue to have a great community in the brewing and distillery world. I hope we can continue to bring our kids and dogs to breweries and everybody be happy. But again, we need to do it the right way and we need to communicate effectively. But no, Andrew, I appreciate you having me on here.
Awesome. Thanks, Kyle. And have a great day, everybody. We'll see you soon.